It doesn't say what. Okay.
There we go. How you doing, everybody? This is Rich. I am here with Corey, and joining us to talk about some TV and movie stuff today is Mr. Tom King.
What up? Tom? I am doing fantastic. It's the end of the week. I hit my deadline. I am ready to relax. It's wonderful to be here. Thank you, guys.
Excellent. I love not having deadlines. That's one of my favorite things. That's my superpower. I can avoid a deadline.
But you have a job that's not writing comic books, so I've already won. So I think
there you go. That's a good point. Now,
but his job does involve getting writers of comic books to do things, and I think we do have deadlines for that. So,
oh, that's true. That's a fair point. It's in the comic book. Of the jobs you could have, that's not a bad. But you still, comic book writer is the best job, so I still think
well, also, Tom doubles as comic book artist, as shown on my wall back here. And if you don't have a Tom King sketch, you clearly don't have a complete comic book sketch collection. I'm just going to throw that out there.
I can't believe that's in a frame on a wall. What are you thinking?
I have a Tom Taylor sketch.
You have a Tom Taylor?
On top of that, like, look at the people I'm blocking. Like, I'm blocking Frank Miller.
You're blocking Frank Miller was behind you.
And whenever I stand here, you can see Tom's. There you go.
I'm blocking Frank Miller, too. He's there's a picture of him behind my...
There you go.
The only reason I found that mentionable was because Tom mimicked Tom in a Twitter photo with the hat.
Who, Tom Taylor?
Yeah.
Tom Taylor. I love Tom. He's a great dude, too.
Such a great...
Tom's named Tom I've met has been awesome.
Oh, that's good to hear. There's a few of us. We got some Brevorts, some free... Isn't that Tom? I forget. We've got a few. Yeah, Tom Taylor's wonderful. You know, he used to be a professional juggler. So if you ever get him alone, have him juggle something. He does.
I tried. He wouldn't do it.
He wouldn't do it?
He wouldn't do it. We were on the train going into New York City, though. So, I mean, I kind of understand it.
It's tough because his big thing is to put like a chair. He balances a chair on his. And I guess, you know, when you're on the train, there's not the cleanest chairs there.
No, I don't think.
And then most of them are bolted down, too. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of reasons you can't do that. Eisner Award-winning Tom King, everyone.
Hi.
So, wanted to bring you on because finally we have superhero comic-related TV stuff now. You have lived in this realm for quite a while. You've written Vision. You've written Batman, Superman. You just got announced for Supergirl. So, you are all over the joint. You've been in this. And a lot of WandaVision. And there's a spoiler talk for everybody watching. So if you haven't watched WandaVision, what the hell have you done today?
Oh, I'm out.
Yeah. Bye, Tom.
It was fun.
But a lot of it is pulled, the aesthetic especially is pulled from your run on Vision. Yours was a very kind of like Norman Rockwell-esque look to everything. Vision wanting to make a perfect family and become more human. And they've adapted that in the way where Wanda is kind of, it's her grieving process, it turns out for us. Now, what did you think of the series finale episode?
Well, first of all, let me say that's very kind of you to say, but obviously there's 1,000 other pieces to that puzzle than me. Like there's a lot of Bendis in there. There's a lot of Steve Ingleheart in there. There's a lot of John Byrne in there, but I'm happy to be one of the sort of things. What did I think? I liked the whole series. I liked it. Was the best, in my mind, the best superhero TV series I've seen, at least since I was a kid and was like addicted to Lois and Clark. I thought it was weird. It was something different. It wasn't villain of the week. It was they were actually trying to say something deep about like the things I obviously care about, which are like grief and recovery and powers and using superheroes to sort of deal with that. The final episode was probably the most conventional episode, so probably that wasn't my favorite of all the episodes. But I like sort of. I mean, I didn't get teary-eyed, but I was getting to that point, you know. It's like at the teary-eyed moment they hit me, like I was like, oh, okay. If I'm this far in, it's a good show. So yeah, I was into it.
Yeah, I mean, the first two episodes, the way Disney dropped this, and it shows how short everyone's attention span is, mine included. Because the first two episodes, I'm like, what is this? What is this? You know, the final episode was very conventional. I found the most interesting parts actually to be the White Vision parts, his interactions with this Vision that's a construct of Wanda saying it's part of the Mind Stone that's left within her and stuff like that, which was like, I feel like I need more explanation on that type of stuff. Now, do you think Vision, White Vision that flew off, is he regular Vision now? Is he assimilating all those memories? Where you stand on that?
Yes, I think that seems obvious to me. I mean, it's for people who've read West Coast Avengers, which is a super weird comic, where two creators were sort of arguing with each other. There was Steve Ingleheart did the first half, and then John Byrne did the second half almost, if you look at that. And John Byrne just kind of threw out everything Steve Ingleheart did. And you're seeing that the weirdness of those moments reflected. And that's a moment from West Coast Avengers, is that he turns white. He gets sort of his emotional part of him and his memory part. We talked about this in Vision in the Michael Walsh issue, I think 7. And then so he slowly recovers from that to become himself again. It feels like that the MCU is copying the comics and that sort of thing. Like he got the memory, now now he has an arc to go through, where he has to come back to Wanda and sort of be Vision again, which is exactly what happened in the comics.
I think it kind of set up the new fan to assume that he went to destroy himself, because that was his directive from the beginning, was destroy Vision. And then, once realizing he's Vision, does the directive stay in place or?
Yes, exactly. But then they had that line where he's like, I am both Vision and not Vision. So it's like, there's enough there that like his cognitive, whatever programming could decide that he's both Vision and not Vision, and sort of get over it. And I mean, at the most, it left the door open for future writers to be like, I want to use him or I don't want to use him, however you want to go with Wanda. Yeah.
Do you think Vision shows up in the Doctor Strange movie?
Yes, I say yes.
I think so.
Because it seems like, this is really spoiler, but the second,
go for it.
We were talking about this before, but the final reveal is you see her, she's reading the Book of the Dead or whatever that book thing is, and you hear the voices of the kids shouting, and again, that's Ingleheart. So famously, Ingleheart gave her children, and then John Byrne said that's a bizarre idea because he's a robot. How can he have children? And then so John Byrne had this thing where those children are actually pieces of Mephisto's soul. Right? Was it Mephisto? It was another guy who's like Mephisto. It was kind of part of Mephisto. And it's a really weird issue where like they look like little missing triangles or kind of WandaVision. Oh yeah, lots of spoilers here. So I really think like that was very much sort of them calling from hell, being like, come to hell to save me. So it gives her a quest to go sort of save these children. And since they're Vision's children, it seems natural that he would show up at some point.
Right. So it opens up the door for Ghost Rider and several others, I guess.
Yes, well, Ghost Rider's already in the MCU.
Well, it'd be a different Ghost Rider. They had Robbie Reyes, and I don't know if they're going to use him. I don't think they'll use the Gabriel Luna to play him, but maybe they do. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know. I've been hearing they're bringing back Barenthal and Charlie Cox and Daredevil and Punisher, and they're bringing.
I am on board for Barenthal. That dude is the Punisher, in my opinion. That he nailed that part.
Totally agree. And I like Cox as a Daredevil. I think he's great.
Oh, he was a great Daredevil. All of season 3 of Daredevil was some of my favorite stuff, definitely. But we're still here talking WandaVision real quick before we start diving into the rest of that. Now, one thing that I love, because I love when comics like troll you a little bit, was the Evan Peters Quicksilver.
That was a troll, wasn't it?
I could not even fathom where they're like, this is the best idea because we're going to mess with everyone right now. Now, what did you think? Did you think mutants were getting brought in? Did you think this is how it was going to happen? Like, what were some of your theories going into WandaVision? If you had just like, I wonder if this is where that goes, or, oh, this, like, what were some of the things you were expecting or hoped for walking into this?
Mostly, I hope that it ended with them breaking up and Vision deciding to start a family of robots. And so that was spoiled for me today. I was really pissed at the ending, actually, as in terms of my own royalties. No, I had no expectations. The only thing I knew is I knew Sparky was going to be in it because I created Sparky, so that I got informed about that. And boy, yeah, did Sparky just shine as a star of that show? I think he's the breakaway hit. Let's have those Sparky toys. Sparky movie? Why wouldn't you have an all Sparky movie? That's forget
Baby Yoda. It's all about Sparky now.
Yeah, it's all about Sparky now. Wait, what was the question? Oh my god, I've wandered off the.
What are your theories?
It's Friday. Oh, my theories of what I had no theories going in. I did when I saw. I thought, oh, that's very clever. This is a very clever way to solve this a mutant's dilemma and to switch Quicksilvers and sort of go off into that world. I did at that point, just like everyone on the internet. I was just like, oh, so perfect. Of course. Yep. You have the Wanda no more mutants, and now she can do Wanda all the mutants. I did at that point. I was 100% committed to that theory, and thought it very clever. So when they sort of kind of took that back in this episode, and very quickly in like one little scene, I was disappointed. But sometimes they play with you, and maybe that scene will turn out to be fake again. So who knows? Yeah,
they could change it. The next movie or show will just change it all again.
I'm not sure that they took it back though, because if you remember when they were up, all floating and fighting and stuff, and she says you'd have no idea what you've done, what you've unleashed. I'm wondering if she hasn't opened up kind of the multiverse sort of thing, and that explains why Evan Peters is that, because he was remembering things that Wanda didn't remember, like things were different.
That's very true. Yeah, he had memory. Yeah, I agree with you. They sort of did not explain that part of it, how he got the memories, and I guess you can assume. Well, what is your explain to me who the character is? He's an actor who was playing the role. I'm a little. You guys give me your theory on what you think happened.
As far as being Evan Peters Quicksilver, who was the person being Evan Peters? I guess
Boner.
Yep.
Yes, something like Boner. Yeah, that guy.
Well, shout out to Family Ties. No, not Family Ties. The one with Kirk Cameron.
What was that damn show?
I don't know. But his best friend was Boner. I remember that from when I was
Growing Pains.
Growing Pains. There you go. Yeah. Corey's the ultimate nerd.
Yeah. But I think it was. I think she just needed an actual physical construct to put the image of her brother around, or anybody that was deceased, for that matter. So I think that's why he ended up looking like that, because you saw at one point, just as Vision was trying to leave the actual force field thing, the town, you saw the dead Evan Peters. His eyes went all white, and he was a corpse sitting right beside her.
Oh, okay. So she she said at some point it's hard to revive the dead. Didn't she say that? I feel like
it's hard to revive the dead, and your brother is a couple of a couple of continents away or something.
Yeah, she said that. Yeah, beneath a bunch of rubble. Like, didn't they drop? Yeah, so
with a bunch of holes in them.
Yeah, so she got like the magic revive the dead necklace on this actor who she killed, and then had him play the brother just to fuck with her and fuck with the entire. To fudge with her. And
fuck with the entire audience.
Yeah. We're not on daytime TV. You can say whatever you need.
Yeah, you can say whatever. But which brings up another interesting character to the whole show was Agatha Harkness. Not a character I thought you would ever see live action. Quite frankly, one of those characters that maybe you've heard about once in a while, but I never really dove into that character. But she turned out to be very cool and brings actual magic into this whole entire MCU thing. First, one of the only two characters aside from Scarlet Witch to not have her powers come out of a suit or a bottle or something like that. So very cool to see old actual magic being involved in the Marvel universe now.
I'm sure at some point they'll reveal it's all connected to the Infinity Stones. I feel like everything is related to it.
They couldn't go without talking about Infinity Stone in this show either.
That's right.
The only issue I had with the Agatha Harkness is the girl who plays her. All I can ever see is that image from her in Step Brothers when she's in the bathroom, right? Stay Golden Pony Boy. That is all I can see when I look at her.
She's been in so many movies.
She's fantastic.
She's such a good job.
The one is it Jeremy Piven, the Sell Hard, I think is what it was called, or something like that, where they're used car salesmen, and then she's after Rob Riggle, who's actually a 9-year-old with an aged body. It's the weirdest damn thing. She plays really weird characters, so that's all I see when I look at her.
I mean, she's got a lot of range. I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head. I can't, but I'm going to just keep calling her. Huh?
Catherine Hahn?
Catherine Hahn. Yeah. She's got good range, and she really was able to play like all sides of different characters in this show, which was very fun. You know, she blends very well into everything she was doing. And it was very cool to see like her as a villain, you know, which I was also not expecting because I'm not up to snuff on my comics with Agatha. She's not really like a villain in the books.
No, she's not. She's the trainer of. She adopted. She's on Mount Wundagore up there and adopted Wonder Woman, Scarlet Witch. Oh, I'm so fucking old. I know. Adopted Scarlet Witch back in the day. And she, in my book, she's the narrator. The first arc, and then it's revealed she's the narrator at the end. So I liked it because I was like, oh, this kind of resembles my book a little bit. But yeah, she's always been a good guy. She's Scarlet Witch's helper, like her stepmother who helped raise her.
Right.
I mean, she has kind of she's very weird. Like she carries around a cat that turns into a panther. That's like her superpower in the comics.
It's pretty damn cool.
Yeah, that's cool. But she's also very old. She's like 90 in the comics.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she was in the X-Men animated series, the one where they had Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, the old lady on the mountain.
Yeah,
Aunt May is Marisa Tomei in these movies. All right, so I don't think you're going to see 90-year-olds at this point.
That's right. 90s, the new 70.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, I thought the actress did great. Yeah, I mean the reveal of her was one of the highlights of the whole show. I felt of her like winking at the camera. I think that was just
100%. 100%. I was in the camp of waiting for this last episode because you also like hear Paul Bettany when he's talking like, I get to work with an actor I've always wanted to work with and never worked with before. And that was something he was saying in interviews and stuff. And I guess it turned out to be himself. Like, because him and got these two visions just floating in a circle for like 5 minutes of this episode. I'm like, was that it? Is that who he was talking about? Because I'm waiting for Doctor Strange. I'm waiting for this whole entire giant mystical showdown. They were mentioning all the Nexus stuff in that little commercials in between, which, by the way, love the commercials in between each episode. Those were great.
Did those pay what? So a lot of commercials like pointing at sort of a Hydra kind of thing. We never heard from Hydra this whole series.
That's a good point.
It was kind of like her subconscious being like,
well, I guess
commercials are evil and then they're associated with Hydra.
Maybe I guess because she was tortured by Von Strucker and all that stuff before Age of Ultron. So that was probably that, because they showed the Stark bomb with the beeping, which is a reference to the toaster from the first episode. The Nexus pill, the depression pill. Very cool, those things. Whoever did those, that guy deserves all the awards and accolades.
Wait, what's the Nexus pill? You've thrown me off here.
You didn't. The episode, I think it was episode 6 or 7. They show a depression pill commercial called Nexus.
Oh, that's right, Nexus. Oh.
Yeah,
all laying in the bed and whatnot.
Yes.
Yeah. The world doesn't revolve around you, or does it?
That was awesome.
So, I mean, now you're bringing in the whole entire Nexus being thing. Scarlet Witch is now like, I guess, and I never realized before this show, she was not referred to as the Scarlet Witch ever before this.
Yeah, it was an IP thing, right?
I think so. Yeah.
I'm gonna try to find more lighting.
Yes, the interrogation of Top King.
That was from the old days when the marching orders were at Marvel. Like, you can't refer to Wanda and Quicksilver as mutants in the comics anymore because we have to get them back as Avengers, because they lived in that sort of liminal space in between Avengers and X-Men.
Well, yeah, because like I remember Ultron, Age of Ultron, when they started bringing out Wanda and Quicksilver, and they're not called mutants; they're called miracles.
Oh, that's right.
And I'm like, that ain't sticking, bud. You know,
they got the powers from the Mind Stone. That's why she was talking about having the Mind Stone in her. That's how Von Strucker empowered them.
But it showed in this show she had the powers before that, and the Mind Stone just amplified her powers.
I agree. So it's a hint of mutantness, and the fact that there's no real origin for her powers. She was just sort of born with this magic power. I mean, just like her kids were born with magic powers. You know, so it's not. It's the first, like you said before. It's the rare Marvel character now, where it doesn't come from the stones or from
right? Who's like on Earth? Because yeah, off-world there's people with powers and stuff like that, and the Celestials, the Eternals, you know, all those guys. But as far as Earth as of right now, it's really just Wanda and Agatha and Spectrum. I guess you could count her now too, in a way.
Yeah, but did you say? I feel like Wanda's powers are slightly like stone enhanced or something. Like,
yeah, she's definitely like enhanced, but
yeah.
You know, probably. I mean,
Strange.
What?
He's got super mystical powers.
Well, yeah, but Doctor Strange's powers all come from the Sorcerer Supreme, and you know, he had the Time Stone for a while, and the Eye of Agamotto, and all these other. He got all that cool stuff.
Yeah, but he did that fancy hand bullshit before he got all that, where he opened up the portals.
Yeah.
So she's Spectrum. She's not Photon.
I've been hearing Spectrum, Photon. I've been hearing everybody say, until I hear what she said called in there. Marvel has this way of like updating and changing things where I'm just like, okay, which one are you now? I thought it was Photon, then I heard somebody say Spectrum.
Spectrum, and I feel like Spectrum, I associate with Dr. Spectrum, the Squadron Supreme. I think that's Spectrum.
Maybe.
There was a Spectrum in the, I think it was Thunderbolts.
That sounds familiar.
And then,
Greg.
My daughter watches the show with me. And she's like, "Who's this character?" And I was like, "She was Captain Marvel when I watched comics, but when I read comics, but that can't be right." So she's like, "That's not Captain Marvel." I was like, yeah, that's what's her name.
But they're also setting up Monica now. She's going up to that sword base with the Skrulls, which was the first after credits scene. Which I don't know. I mean, are they going to start setting up for her to be Captain Marvel, or where do you think they're going to start taking that?
That seems like Secret Invasion to me. It seems like they're loving the Bendis stuff.
That's one of the things that I've seen a lot of the, I guess the spec movie things is there will be a Secret Invasion movie, although I don't really know how they're going to do that now that they've established the Skrulls are good guys.
Well, no, it's a TV show. They've already announced it's going to be a TV show, haven't they? That it's one of the, it's on the docket.
Yeah.
Yeah, but how when the Skrulls are good guys?
Well, just because they're good guys now don't mean nothing in a week, you know?
There could be a, we could do this in 2 seconds. Most of the Skrulls are good guys, but there are some Skrull terrorists. We did it.
There you go. Solved it.
We solved it for someone should send us some money.
Absolutely.
Okay.
I'll take some of that Marvel Studios money for sure.
Yeah,
so it was
Sparky
Dr.
money.
Spectrum in the Thunderbolts. That's
it was
right.
Dr. Spectrum.
Yeah.
Now, as far as
taking back the nerd title.
Loves on Dr. Spectrum.
Now, real quick, I got to ask, because behind the scenes stuff, did anyone consult with you from Marvel about this when they were looking into aesthetic, what they were doing with it? Did anyone reach out and say, hey, we might be picking some, you know, stuff from your work, like, can we ask you questions?
No, I don't resent them for it, but no, this was totally. I mean, I literally work for the enemy. Not only do I work for the comic book enemy, I work for the, I work on New Gods, so I have some studio stuff.
Oh, we're gonna get into that hopefully in a little bit.
I checked the clock because I'm expecting a call from Ava tonight, so yeah, no, they didn't console me, which is perfectly fine. I eventually talked to the director of most of the episodes. Who was incredibly kind and to me, and we at the end of the call we both just thanked each other for helping to make this show. So yeah, the thing is super cool. I can't say how much it's pointed so many people to my book who hadn't seen the book before. So I'm incredibly grateful that it exists.
I can attest to that because I go to my local comic store, which is Royal Collectibles in Queens. And which is funny because it's in Forest Hills, so I always am like, oh, I'm at Spider-Man's comic shop, basically.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's great. But I'm there, and everyone there, I'm talking to the owner, this guy Mike, and he tells me, like, I have been selling through all of my Vision stuff. He had a little wall that had the softcover version, I think, of the Vision, and it was just 5 or 6 people came in within the 20 minutes. I'm there and grabbing it. So I do love how all the TV show stuff, the movie stuff is really directing people to wanting to read and learn more about these characters, which is definitely awesome. And, you know, you've had tons of success with that, even with other characters. Now and we'll get into New Gods at this point. Mr. Miracle is something that people keep jumping on and everything like that. So when you got tapped to, now you're writing New Gods with the director. You're consulting with them. What's going on with that?
I'm writing the script, the movie script with co-writing with Ava DuVernay, who's directing the movie, who's written a few movies and has like 7 TV shows out there, and she's like a huge Hollywood player, and she's awesome.
So definitely not a lightweight.
No, she's not.
Now,
one time I was Zooming with her, and she's like, "Oh, Tom, I have to take this call. I normally wouldn't do it, but it's Steven Spielberg, and he's calling me back about something." I was like, "Oh, take it. Tell him I love Raiders." You know?
Put us on the three-way call. Three-way call this.
She's a power player and an awesome one.
Now, did you see the Snyder Cut trailer?
I did. Yes, very
dramatic. Have you been following all this stuff with the Snyder Cut and how it came to be and all that?
I don't think you could be in comics and not be aware of it and not follow it or think. But I have nothing to do with it. I don't know if there's that. Yeah.
Yeah, but we're talking here as fan stuff because it all could lead to more New God stuff because you actually get Darkseid now and some of these other guys outside of Steppenwolf from that abysmal Joss Whedon version. So what were your thoughts on the trailer? What did you think about the aesthetic? And what's your hopes for this 4.5 hour possibly endeavor?
The last question is the easiest one. My hope is that it's awesome. I hope that it is freaking blows me out of the water. And I thought in general that Batman v Superman was better than Justice League, where of course he directed sort of half the movie. So I want to see his sort of vision for that movie, because I think people who watch Justice League, you could kind of tell that there was kind of a record scratch in the movie or somehow. It just seemed like it was off a little bit.
Yeah.
So I'm incredibly rooting for this to be transcendent and good. I don't know. I want a good Superman movie to sit down. My 12-year-old is like, he's prepped to watch it with me, so we're gonna sit down and watch this thing. So, yeah, I hope it's fantastic. That's my main hope. As for the trailer, I mean, I write sad, dramatic superheroes, so I cannot blame any other man for trying to do the same. If Batman and Superman looking out windows and crying is just my wheelhouse, so go for it and just make it great.
But you also do write a very lighthearted, fun Superman too. You did the 100. You worked on some of the 100-page Walmart spectaculars and stuff like that.
I do. And I'm working on super. I know. I tell my wife, I was like, "Oh, this is the one thing I wrote for my kids." I was like, "It's lighthearted. Superman wins in the end. It's like 12 episodes, 12 issues where everything just is happy." And my wife's like, "Yeah, but a little girl dies on the 4th page." I was like, "Oh yeah, I forgot."
Nobody gets away scot-free in the Tom King book.
Yeah, there'll be some sadness. Yes, I've written some upbeat Superman. Superman's one of my the super people I've working on Supergirl. They're so much fun to write. I like it much more than writing Batman in terms of just putting words on paper. It's a much more fun and experience, because they do the right thing, and then you just follow that story, and there's such cool characters in that way. And you have to, like today I was doing an issue where like Supergirl had to get away from somebody instead of just like running through the streets. She runs through the whole universe. Like your canvas is so wide.
Right. Yeah. Batman, I feel like, is a real mindset if you're going to be doing a long haul, and you did a very long haul on Batman.
I did 75 Batman, 85 Batman.
Yeah, I always refer to the issue where Batman is losing his mind while being captured by Professor Pig. And I always look down like, all right, I think Tom's feeling a certain way on Batman right now. He's hanging upside down. It's madness, that issue. I love that issue.
That issue. I got it back. I had written a bunch of words in it. And Mitch drew it much better than the words. And I was like, fuck it. I was like, cut every single dialogue balloon in this. And I'm going to do it all through narration boxes and just make it really horror focused. And I like that issue because it makes you feel as claustrophobic because the art on that is so perfect.
It's claustrophobic. It's uncomfortable. It's fantastic. It's so great. It's one of the best pieces of Batman horror I think I've ever read. But yeah, no, with Justice League coming out and the movies and seeing the New Gods and your work on a script now, do you think, and this is just a guess here type thing, do you think if there is success from this Snyder version that people are very receptive to it and they like this, do you think it will impact what you are doing with New Gods?
I don't think I'm allowed to answer that question. Next question, as they say on the, I mean, I've talked with the producers about this stuff, so there's behind the scenes stuff. But yeah, no, I think that one's beyond my pay, not beyond my pay grade, but beyond me revealing it for risking my pay grade. I think maybe it's probably the best thing. But it's a good question. I like it. This is great. This is like back in the day when people used to ask me my CIA stuff and I couldn't tell them. Like, next question. I don't know where I was in 2006.
So for the next couple of minutes, let's talk about Tom's CIA stuff. So how did that go? How was it?
It was great.
There you go.
Solved all the problems in the world and there's nothing left to do.
Fix the entire thing.
Fix the entire
One
thing.
go.
Afghanistan, Iraq, beautiful, lovely places now.
That's great. Corey, is there anything you would like to ask Tom real quick? I've realized I've been hogging all the questions just now.
Man, I've just been enjoying listening. I've kind of been the fan setting on a wallflower, if you will. But
there you go.
Let's see. Here's a basic thing. What do you have a pull list? And if you do, I want to know what's in your pull list right now as far as comics going.
I don't have a pull list. I don't go to the comic store. I'm stuck. I live in the middle of a big city, and I don't go in. I haven't been in a store in a long time. I have a pull list at Third Eye Comics that I paid for in advance because they at the beginning of the COVID crisis they asked people to pay in advance. So I gave them a big down payment because everyone needed the help, and I got a pull list. So there's a stack of comics waiting for me in a month or two when I get that vaccine to go in and pick them up. So that'll eventually, but yeah, no, I get from DC, I get every comic for free. So I read a lot of DC comics and I get all the trades for free. I'm on that list. So every month I get 2 huge boxes full of trades that my wife wants to shoot me because they spill out of my living room. And my kids are so excited because they're stuck at home and here's boxes and boxes of comics.
There you go. That's
so awesome. That. And I read Marvel digitally.
Oh, all right, cool.
What do you read from the other guys then?
What do I read? I love Hickman stuff. I like the X-Men stuff.
A lot of charts. A lot of charts in the Hickman stuff.
And it's the exact opposite. What I like about it's so different from what I do. It's like Hickman takes these characters and elevates them into gods. You know, like when you read X-Men, you feel like you're reading like Greek myths or something. Meanwhile, I'm over here at DC being like, all right, all you gods, get down here and we're going to talk about how it's like to go to the bathroom if you're Superman. And, you know, like Hickman does the exact opposite thing I do. So I admire that. I like Daredevil. I like Zdarsky's run on that. That's cool.
Yeah, that's a great run with Zdarsky and Chichetto. Great stuff there.
And I admire what Dan Slott can do. Like he has so many plots in him, and it just feels like when I read Dan Slott comics, I feel like I'm reading comics from 1988 when I got into comics.
Right,
and it makes me feel like nostalgic. I like that stuff. So.
Well, it's fun when you bring up all these different plots and stuff like that because you work on you're doing Rorschach, Batman, Catwoman, like you got a bunch of stuff going on. What's it like diving between us? Like how your writing style, or you're just like, I think I'm going to dive more into Rorschach before I get back into Batman, Catwoman, or is it like, oh man, I hit this block with him, I got to go back to doing some stuff with Joker here. Like your writing style, are you committed to that one project the whole way through, or is you able to kind of dive between everything?
So I've switched since the pandemic, and also I had dinner with Brad Meltzer before this whole thing started, and he was telling me about his work, and he said he wrote it all at once like a novel. You know, I was on double ship Batman at the time, which is like you'd write issue 18, then you'd write issue 27, then you'd go back and write issue 14, and then and you're just like literally at the end on Friday, my editor sent me an email. I'll be like, okay, this artist needs pages, let's go. And I was like, wow, that sounds amazing to write it all straight through. So when the pandemic hit and we had this sort of 3-month gap, and Jim Lee was kind enough to be like, nobody's pencils down, just keep going. And when we get back, we'll be ahead. so I switched entirely how I write things. So now I write everything so far like a novel. So you mentioned Rorschach. I wrote that all once in you know, for 4 months. I was Mr. Rorschach. I just wrote Rorschach all the time, and then it was done. Like the 12th issue was finished before the first issue came out, which means I could deliver it to Jorge. I'd be like, this is the whole thing. Like, if you want to hint at what happens in 12, you can, because it's here's the thing.
Right.
And the same thing with Strange Adventures, that's done. Same thing with Batcat, that's done. They're all written.
Yeah.
And since then, so I'm way ahead because I've been productive in COVID. I wrote a whole series that you haven't seen, a 12-issue series I'm going to announce. And I'm finishing up Supergirl pretty soon. Oh. So, yeah, I write them all straight through now. So, like, I take 3 months to be inside that character, and then I get out.
That's awesome. Have you found it more beneficial? Have you found it helps you with what you're doing, or is it kind of like towards the end you're like, oh God, I need something new? Like, where, like, how do you feel about that? No,
it's beneficial. It's nice to be inside a character's mind and get that voice and not leave it. And it's also good because, you know, there are moments where you get to an end of a story and you say, oh, I should have done something at the beginning to hint at this, because I mean, I'm not the most I have outline-ish writer where I know exactly where I'm going. So this way I can more naturally get to the end and then look back at the beginning and be like, okay, we got to adjust this, we got to adjust that. So when I get the letters or start working with the artist, I can be like, look, this little one panel here is going to pay off 6 issues later in this panel here. And then we know that, so we can put something in the background. You can do all that sort of Watchmen-y deeper stuff because you can see the whole picture before you start, which I really enjoy.
Yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, that's fantastic. I want to bring up a fun fact real quick. Corey and you know this, Tom, but I'm going to tell everybody else, is that 1 year ago tomorrow was the last public signing that was done in New York City, and it was for Tom King's Strange Adventures #1.
I shut it down. I shut it down.
Boy, oh boy, what a perfect title to end the world on last year. Great job, Tom.
Jeez. How could it be a year? How could it possibly be a year?
I don't know. I was looking through my Instagram and Facebook memories, and it says tomorrow was 1 year ago you were hanging out with Tom King. And I was like, oh man, really? Already?
Jeez, Rich, that means you were literally one of the last people I hung out with who wasn't my 3 children and my wife. What a goddamn waste.
Lucky you.
Lucky me. Yeah, no, that's absolutely crazy.
It's insane when you think about it, because I remember you and Mitch were supposed to attend that sign. Mitch was like, no, there's this thing going around, and I don't want to go. And we were like, okay, you know, and that was the first time you were there, and you're like, yo, I'm only doing elbows. I'm only, you know, I'll greet people with elbows. And who knew a couple of weeks after that, we'd all be like, stay home. Don't fucking go anywhere.
Yeah, it's incomprehensible that we were. And it's funny, the elbow thing, like now, who cares about fucking elbows? We were sitting in the room together just breathing on each other for 4 hours.
Right. I'm just thinking, like, oh, man. It's like, oh, man, we had people in a line outside just huddled together, just like when you get to Tom, you know, don't breathe on him, don't shake his hand and stuff like that. Just keep going. Little did we know.
Maybe it was for the best. Maybe one of those guys gave me like a really low level of it, and that's why I've survived this year, because I got the immunity right up front. Maybe that was the best thing I could have done.
Who knew? Maybe we had our own super spreader event. We didn't know it. Because
if any place is going to make you immune, it would be New York, because
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
I very much sympathize with something I saw online. Like, it's a picture of a garden hose. It's like, if you drank out one of these, you're immune to COVID. And I was like, possibly.
We swam in retention ponds when I was a kid.
Oof.
Retention ponds, oh man.
Oof. But
I live in the country.
Oh man. But
I grew up in LA, man. I rode the public bus. If you ride the bus in Los Angeles, there's something that you're having some problems. So yeah, I touched everything bad.
So since then, in that year, how's the COVID aspect of everything been treating you? Have you picked up any new fun hobbies? How much bread have you baked? Like, what's going on? What kind of cool stuff have you been doing?
I mean, I got 3 kids at home. My youngest just went back to school this week for the first time, part-time. And my 2 oldest are still, I got a 10-year-old, an 11-year-old, 10, 12, and 6. They just change ages all the time. So, and my wife is full time. She works for the companies that keep the Wi-Fi up, so she can always throw that in my face.
Love her. Thank you for that.
So it's been a lot of just making sure my kids are alive and safe and taken care of. So that's and again, being productive. I've been writing like a motherfucker. I just write all the time. The one habit I've picked up an original art habit. I buy a lot of original art. Like a lot of people, if you're watching the original art market, I know I'm not the only one doing this because it is skyrocketing every freaking week. It seems like I bought a piece, or I was going to buy a piece last week that I saw on Classified for $150 like 3 months ago, and it sold for $700 at Heritage. I was like, oh god damn. What
piece was it?
It was an old 70s DC piece.
Nice.
I collect. Yeah, I collect. I like art from the early Bronze Age, late Silver Age DC. That's what I really like.
Good age. That's good stuff.
So yeah, so that's sort of the bad habit I picked up during this thing, because it's just nice to get a package routine.
It is. Yeah, I got really into the original art too, and I'm like, ooh, I might need to stop.
You can see my stupid walls. I got no walls now. I have fucking these things. This will break your marriage up faster than anything else.
Our portfolios. Yeah, flip through some of that. Let's see what you got in there. What you got?
No, I don't want people to see. Come rob me. What have I got? Anything cool? Oh my god, I got well, I was trying to. I have an Alex Toth Supergirl since I'm writing Supergirl. I got this Alex Toth Supergirl.
That's very cool.
Alex Toth is my favorite artist of all time. So,
very
my favorite artist drawing the character I'm currently doing. I'm into
make him disappear.
Well, all right, Tom, we're going to let you cut loose because I know you probably have a lot more stuff to do, but we'd love to have you on again.
Anytime, since we're best friends because you're the only person I've seen in the last year. We're officially buddies. I don't want to get next to Corey because I know where he swims.
Yeah, exactly. He's in Florida, so don't worry about that.
That's why I haven't been sick in 15 years. That's
a good point. It's a real good point. But yeah, Tom, thank you so much for joining us, man. Really,
I appreciate it. It's very nice being here, and thanks for this. Really made my week. It's great to talk nerd. It's awesome.
Come on anytime and talk nerd with us. We'd love it.
Thanks, man.
I bet.